Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boot Podcast. My name is Anderson, and it is a pleasure to be here speaking to you in a new episode. Today, I'm very happy because I have an special guest from my country. She is Wanda Yamilla. Welcome, Wanda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wanda Yamilla. I'm an English teacher. I'm 22 years old and I currently living in Buenaventura. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity because I think it's a good way to improve. Yeah, and I also think it's important to share a little bit my knowledge with you guys. So thank you, Anderson.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are going to offer a great support to all the English students that watch our videos. And how we are going to do that? We are going to speak about strategies that students can use to improve their English. But we are going to focus on speaking and listening abilities, okay? Just stop. So, first of all, I would like to know about you. Tell us how long have you been working as a teacher?
Okay, I've been working as a teacher. I think I have more than a year working as a teacher because my first experience was in a breakfast. It was a breakfast with a ethnical approach, so it was like quite different than regular English classes. So in the context of academies, I have just like 2 months, just 2 months experience. So my first experience, as I already told, was the experience of the breakfast. So in that during that time, I had to teach them history to students about Black history, about diaspora. Yeah, so we try to mix like the heritage, like the proud of being descendants, yeah, with the English teaching, which is a really interesting purpose for me, because this way we can like mix identity, like, and also that's an emancipatory way to teach, because that way students can be more awake and more conscious about their their skin color, the and all that comes with it. So for me, it was really like a great purpose or proposal for teaching, because I know that we must mix like English with the daily life topics. So it was important that. But in the experience that I have nowadays, it's just like to mix the abilities in English, speaking, reading, comprehension, and listening. I try to teach like grammar, and I try also to enhance students' listening, reading, speaking abilities. So like that's like pretty different than my first teaching experience.
Excellent. And during your experience as a teacher, what kind of strategies you use in order to help your students to improve, for example, their speaking? How is that? You usually make debates or conversation clubs where they can express their ideas and opinions?
Well, I think that at the beginning of the courses, we don't have like that much vocabulary in order to talk and wait for them to speak freely and all the stuff. But yeah, I always try that then put in practice what we have learned. For example, last week I thought family members, and I've been watching a TikTok trend, which is like something like I am the mother, and obviously I cook. I am the mother, and obviously I yell at my kids, something like that. Yeah, and I put them to do that, and it was like just funny, and I love that because they use TikTok and they use social media in the learning experience, and for me it was nice. Also, I try to put them like games like Would You Rather? Would you rather, for example, would you rather hot or cold? Would you rather pizza or hamburger? And in this way, they can speak a little bit. Yeah, so I try to do that. Of course, I don't expect them to speak, to give a long speech, because I know that they don't have the vocabulary, but I try that they use the amount of words that they have been learning during the process. Also, one thing that I did last week was a face-to-face activity. So I thought them adjective. So I put them to nominate one person from the group. So it was like pretending. I told them just pretend and make it funny. Like for example, do something like I nominate you because I think you are smart. I think you are beautiful. I think you are hardworking, and that's it. Something like that. And the other person response would be something like thanks for nominating me. I also think that you are smart, and something like that. Also, to put like some at some point, I don't know, like to put it like spicy. I told them to pretend that they didn't like each other. For example, I think you are gossiper, um, and something like that. So in that way, they could like practice adjective, and we could laugh a little bit. So I try to make them talk and use the vocabulary that we have seen until that moment.
Well, that's great. I've been learning English too, and I think that in the beginning, as a student, of course, we love funny teachers like you. We love classes that can make us laugh. And that is the way that we fall in love with the English language as well. And we enjoy the process. That is very important. So, your strategy sounds great. I congratulate you for that. And I think these tips will help our students to always enjoy the process, to look ways to continue learning, but in a funny way. Don't make it boring. Don't make it uh, even harder for them, and just look for that way that they can feel comfortable and they can improve in a funny way, as you mentioned before. And what about the listening part? Listening is not easy. Listening can be difficult also for the teacher to explain. So I would like to know what is the strategy that you use in this case.
Okay, what I regularly do is try to put some music because I really believe in the power of music in order to learn new languages, because that have been at some point my case because I learned French, and I try to always listen to music in French. Yeah, and I could learn some new vocabulary with music in French. Also, for me, one key strategy for listening, it's music, but the music you like, because for me it's not like that funny that the fact that you listen to classic music, to rock music, if you don't like. It is important that you select the music you like, because for example in English we have all genres in English. If you look for salsa, there's salsa. If you look for trap, R&B, I don't know, you have plenty of options. So it's important that you recognize the kind of music you like, the genre that you like, and in that way you can to enjoy the process of learning while listening to music. Because if you don't like rock and you look for rock, it won't work. It won't work. It's important that you recognize. For example, in my case, I love salsa. So I tried to, when I was learning English, I tried to look for salsa music in English, and I learned a lot. So that is something that I recommend to my students, and is that they should be aware, be conscious of the kind of music they like. For example, if they like trap, they then there are plenty of options, plenty of singers of trap music in English. So in that way you can improve. But if you don't like salsa and you look for salsa, it won't work. It won't work. Yeah, so for example, in my last classes we saw this topic of demonstrative pronouns, that, this, those, and I looked for a song that had that grammar on it, and I found "Is This Love" of Bob Marley, and they love it, and they love it. And I took advantage of that to teach how demonstrative pronouns works, because the song says "Is this love?" So I asked them, for example, if I want to say "Esto no es amor," how can I say it? So they said they told me like this is not love, teacher. And what about the affirmative way? And they told me like, this is love, teacher. So and they understood, and they understood the topic that way. So that is something that I try to do, and mix the music with the grammar aspects, live conversations. For example, yeah, I played a listening to my students in which a Peruvian boy was speaking, and for me, it was great from the way I see it, because that's real life English. So for me, it's also important to know or to hear other accents different than the American one and the British one, because that's the reality. For example, in my case, I had a great opportunity to travel abroad. I was I traveled to Uganda, and for me it was a huge problem because I could not understand any of the words, anything that they were speaking to me. Why? Because I was too used to listening American and British accents, and I did not hear any like at all African. I didn't have the opportunity to do that. So I had some problems on there because I could not understand like pretty clear what what they were saying to me. Yeah, so that's why I tell my students that they have to listen to other accents, not only American and British, but Nigerian, South African, Australian, Chinese, all accents. That's like the real English, you know?
Yes, teacher, that's true. And that is love. When you care about your students, how they can learn, what will be the reality that they will face when they go out or they have to speak with other people, can be Colombian, can be um, tourist people here in our country, just from another places, other countries like you said, Africans, Peruvians, French people. You know, we have a lot of different accents and that we probably have to face once in our life. And would you like to tell us an experience or activity that you like the most during this time teaching English?
I want to share another strategy that I use during my classes. And it was that we were in this topic on introduce oneself, introduce yourself. I put students to pretend that they were in a job interviews. So they pretend that they were being hired, and they at the end they told something like, "Don't call us, we will call you." And it was really funny, and they had fun doing that, and it was great. It was really great. And I also love one activity that I made that was bingo. You know, here in Buenaventura we have that culture of bingo. Yeah, so when we were practicing, and we were practicing numbers, I I took a bingo there, and we played bingo, and they had fun. They were like 169, 70, and it was really funny, really funny. And that way they could learn. Also, because I put like special emphasis on the endings, for example, 15, 50, and it was like, you notice the difference, like the stress, you notice the stress in 15 and 50, and they were like, yeah, I noticed. And it was funny, it was really funny.
Wow, that's great. I love bingo, you know. But the letter O. Oh. Awesome. I love bingo. I just imagine that moment. Teacher Wanda, it was a pleasure to be here speaking to you. Um, you're awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, we can have another episode with you and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye, and thank you all.